All right. Thank you. All right, I'll use this one. Thank you for being here for our first legislative markup, the 119th Congress. This committee has a rich bipartisan history, which will continue that spirit with the bills we've worked together on today. And each of these bipartisan pieces of legislation, was passed by the House last Congress, and I'm proud that we'll be moving these forward. And I think specifically, unless you're a freshman member, you either voted for these in committee as they are, with maybe technical changes, or on the floor, except for the freshmen. We must make sure that government stands ready to partner with innovators to continue promoting technological advancement. One bill proposed today will help improve wireless service for farmers utilizing precision agriculture. Another will work to improve American cybersecurity and protect our networks from bad actors. Together, these bills can help to prepare our infrastructure to withstand cyber threats, while also ensuring our wireless infrastructure is calibrated to the needs of the 21st century. I thank the sponsors for their leadership and continue work getting the bills across the finish line. We'll also be continuing our work to shore up America's supply chains and secure our critical infrastructure. Our adversaries are constantly launching threats to our supply chains, especially in critical industries, emphasizing the need for greater resiliency. Legislation like the Global Investment in American Jobs Act will help attract more investment in the United States, supporting our American workers. Bolstering American manufacturing and reducing our reliance on China should be priorities for us all, and I look forward to advancing legislation to do that. Next, we will consider legislation to protect Americans from potentially dangerous products and technologies. The Awning Safety Act of 2025 will instruct the CPSC to create a safety standard for fixed, freestanding awnings in memory of Dr. Michael Natt, who tragically lost his life in an awning accident. I again want to thank all the sponsors and advocates who helped us make this legislation the best it can be. I always say the work we do here in the House affects people in their homes, and I think that is on display with the legislation we are considering today. We have a lot more work to do this Congress, but I'm proud that we are able to start with this bipartisan legislation that unites this committee in securing American leadership and eliminating unnecessary risks to people's safety. I thank you all for the work, and I thank everybody for working together, and I look forward to advancing these bills to the full House. And I will yield back my time, and I now recognize the gentleman from New Jersey, Representative Pallone, for 5 minutes for an opening statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Today, the committee, as you said, is marking up 12 bills that passed out this committee and the full House last Congress with strong bipartisan support. And I support all these bills and hope that we can get them to the House floor soon. But I wanted to particularly discuss one bill, the Awning Safety Act, which would require the Consumer Product Safety Commission to create a mandatory safety standard for fixed and freestanding retractable awnings. Today, there is no standard, voluntary or mandatory, for these awnings, and injuries continue to mount. So 2 years ago, Dr. Michael Natt, the father of 5, including a former Energy and Commerce Committee staff member, tragically died as a result of an incident involving a retractable awning. And we have to ensure that other American families do not suffer the same fate because of the problems with retractable awnings. So I just wanted to mention that. Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. I yield back the balance of my time.
Well, I guess I better turn this mic up. The gentleman yields back. The chair reminds members that pursuant to the committee rules, all members' opening statements will be made part of the record. Are there further opening statements? Are there further opening statements? Seeing none, now recognize, the chair calls up H.R. 1618 and asks the clerk to report.
H.R. 1618, a bill to require the Federal Communications Commission to review certain rules of the commission and develop recommendations for rule changes to promote precision
Without
agriculture.
objection, the first reading of the bill is dispensed with, and the bill will be open for amendment at any time so ordered. Does anyone seek to be recognized on the bill?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
right, the last word.
the gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Precision Agriculture Satellite Connectivity Act is a very important piece of legislation that we worked on in the last Congress. This legislation went through regular order during the 118th Congress and passed the House on April the 26th of 2023 by a vote of 409 to 11. This legislation required the FCC to look at its current satellite rules to determine if rule changes should be made to promote precision agriculture. Despite the billions of dollars that have been made available for broadband deployment over the last few years, it is clear from traveling my district in the state of Ohio that too many Americans, especially agricultural producers, still lack access to the internet. Farmers in rural Ohio and across the country know that reliable broadband connections are essential to their operations. After all, it helps deploy technologies that increases their productivity, produces higher yields, and minimizes operating costs. Gathering, processing, and sharing data in real time will help farmers and ranchers make better decisions. While many farmers and ranchers have made progress getting access to terrestrial, fixed, and wireless networks over time, we have heard at our hearings in the Communications and Technology Subcommittee that satellite technology can also play a role. In some cases, satellite technology will connect directly to equipment or sensors in the field. In other cases, satellite technology can provide backhaul to wireless towers nearby. It's not just advanced satellite broadband capabilities that provide improved precision agriculture. Earth imaging satellites also provide important information that can help farmers and ranchers identify visual trends that may require immediate attention. And I'm committed to ensuring our farmers and ranchers have the tools needed at their disposal to help increase productivity while minimizing costs. This legislation is a great step forward in that mission. And I support the technical corrections that made by the AINS and support the underlying bill and urge my colleagues to support it. And I'd be happy to yield to the chairman.
Thank you. As I said, we're going to straight full committee with these bills. These are bills that have passed the last Congress pretty much in the form that they were here. So I'm gonna recognize my good friend from Illinois, and there's gonna be an amendment. So what's the amendment? And AINS is the bill last Congress established a task force that sunsets. So it sunsets before this bill. Because it was designed for last Congress. So we're just correcting that. We're correcting that. So I will yield back to my friend from Ohio, who yields back, and the chair recognizes the gentlelady from Illinois.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have an amendment at the desk titled AINS_01_XML.
The clerk will report the amendment.
Amendment in the nature of a substitute to H.R. 1618, offered by Ms. Kelly.
Without objection, the reading of the amendment is dispensed with, and the gentlelady from Illinois is recognized for 5 minutes in support of the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My amendment seeks to simply make some technical clarifications to the underlying legislation to ensure it accurately reflects the current status of the FCC's advisory committees. As many of my colleagues have heard me discuss in this very hearing room, I care deeply for and work hard to ensure the farmers and producers in my district have the resources they need to continue to nourish our families, fuel our cars, and raise our livestock. To that end, I'm committed to working with my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to ensure that we in Congress are considering innovative solutions that take advantage of next-generation satellite-based technologies. Like many of my colleagues serving on this committee, Rep. Latta and I see eye to eye on this issue, and that is why we reintroduced the Precision Agricultural Satellite Connectivity Act this Congress. This bill would require the FCC to review the agency's rules for fixed satellite service, mobile satellite service, and Earth exploration satellite service to determine if there are rule changes that the FCC could implement under existing authority to promote precision agriculture. 2, develop recommendations for how to implement any changes and report its findings to Congress. I thank Chairman, you're not the chairman anymore, but Rep. Latta for his partnership and look forward to passing the Precision Agriculture Satellite Connectivity Act out of this committee and seeing it considered on the House floor. For all these reasons, I urge all of my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to support this amendment and the underlying legislation. Thank you, and I yield back.
The gentlelady yields back. Is there any discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, if there's no further discussion, the vote occurs on the amendment. All those in favor shall signify by saying aye. Aye. All those nay. The ayes have it, and the amendment is agreed to. Is there any seeking recognition? Seeing none, the question now occurs on adopting H.R. 1618 as amended. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bill is agreed to. The chair calls up H.R. 1455 and asks the clerk to report.
H.R. 1455, a bill to codify the Institute for
Without objection,
Telecommunications.
the first reading of the bill is dispensed with, and the bill will be open for amendment at any point. So ordered. Does anyone seek to be recognized on the bill?
Mr. Chair,
What purpose does the gentleman from Georgia seek recognition?
I move to strike the last word.
Gentleman is recognized.
Mr. Chairman, I rise today in support of my bill, H.R. 1455, the ITS Codification Act. As demand for wireless technology continues to grow, we must continue to focus on identifying potential opportunities to make more spectrum available for commercial use, including reallocating and sharing spectrum from federal users. In order to protect federal missions, these reallocation decisions rely on complex technical testing and analysis that experts at the Federal Communications Commission and National Telecommunications and Information Administration evaluate. As policymakers consider reallocating federal spectrum for commercial use, the FCC and NTIA must have the information they need to make these decisions. The Institute for Telecommunications Sciences, or ITS, is essential in conducting the radio frequency tests that provide this technical information. The work ITS performs has led to innovative advancements in the way we manage our airways. These airways power faster mobile connectivity for Americans, and making more spectrum available in the future is critical to defeating China and others in wireless and technological innovation. The ITS Codification Act will strengthen statutory authority for ITS and ensure that the work they do to advance United States wireless leadership remains a critical ingredient to our success. I thank Representative Peterson, and I'll ask for all of my colleagues to support this bill. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Is there anyone seeking recognition on the bill? Seeing none, the question now occurs on adopting H.R. 1455. All those in favor shall say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bill is agreed to. The chair calls up H.R. 1766 and asks the clerk to report.
H.R. 1766, a bill to amend the National Telecommunications and Information Administration Organization
Without objection, the
Act.
first reading of the bill is dispensed with, and the bill will be open for amendment at any point, so ordered. Does anyone seek recognition on the bill? For what purpose does the gentleman from California seek recognition?
I move to strike the last word.
Gentleman, you are recognized for 5 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for the opportunity to speak today in support of my bill, H.R. 1766, the NTIA Policy and Cybersecurity Coordination Act. As we continue to witness rapid advancements in telecommunications and digital infrastructure, it's imperative that we strengthen our nation's cybersecurity posture to protect against emerging threats, both domestic and foreign. This bill addresses a critical gap by formalizing the National Telecommunications and Information Administration's role in cybersecurity policy development. Specifically, it establishes an Office for Policy Development and Cybersecurity within NTIA to coordinate efforts that will safeguard our communication networks. The Office of Policy Development and Cybersecurity will work with stakeholders to develop and implement cybersecurity and privacy policies for the Internet and communications networks. It will promote collaboration between industry and security researchers to address vulnerabilities before they can be exploited. It will prevent and mitigate future software vulnerabilities that could compromise our telecommunications infrastructure, and it will provide technical assistance to small and rural communications service providers to ensure that they have the tools to defend against cybersecurity threats. This legislation builds on the good work already done in this committee. Last year it was led by Representative John Curtis, now Senator John Curtis, and it passed both this committee and the House with broad bipartisan support. I am a firm believer in strengthening America's cybersecurity, and I urge my colleagues to join me in supporting this bill by enhancing NTIA's cybersecurity leadership, fostering public-private collaboration, and securing our communications network. We will ensure that the United States remain at the forefront of digital security in this era of rapidly evolving threats. So I respectfully ask for your support, and I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Does anyone seek recognition? The gentlelady from Virginia, what purpose do you seek recognition?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move to strike the last word.
You are recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to commend my colleague, Mr. Overnolte, for his leadership on this critical issue and express my strong support for the NTIA Policy and Cybersecurity Coordination Act. This legislation strengthens the NTIA by codifying and enhancing its Office of Policy Development and Cybersecurity, which plays a crucial role in shaping market-driven policies that foster innovation, enhance competition, and expand broadband access for all Americans. Last year, the Salt Typhoon cyber attack caused the United States to experience one of the most sophisticated and nefarious assaults on our telecommunications network. The Salt Typhoon was a stark reminder of the evolving cyber threats we face, which impact not only our communication systems, but in our ever-connected, data-driven, Internet of Things dependent society, can affect everything from airplane safety to healthcare providers. As foreign adversaries and criminals continue to exploit vulnerabilities in our digital and telecommunications infrastructure, we must ensure that our nation's top telecommunication agencies are forward-thinking and equipped to address these ever-growing cybersecurity challenges. As the principal advisor to the President on telecommunications and information policy, NTIA has a unique and specialized role in safeguarding our nation's critical telecommunications infrastructure. Given the increased complexity of cyber threats, it is now more important than ever that NTIA is fully empowered to assess risks, coordinate responses, and proactively shape policies to protect American consumers and businesses. I look forward to working with my colleagues to advance this legislation and strengthen our nation's cybersecurity posture. Thank you, and I yield back.
The gentlelady yields back. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the question now occurs on adopting H.R. 1766. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bill is agreed to. The chair calls up H.R. 1765 and asks the clerk to report.
H.R. 1765, a bill to direct the Assistant Secretary of Commerce for Communications and Information.
Without objection, the first reading of the bill is dispensed with, and the bill will be open for amendment at any point. So ordered. Does anyone seek recognition on the bill? What purpose does the gentleman from New Jersey seek recognition?
Mr. Chairman, I move to strike the last word.
Gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am pleased to lead the introduction of H.R. 1765, the Promoting United States Wireless Leadership Act, with my colleagues, Mrs. Dingell, Mr. Wahlberg, and Ms. Clark. This bipartisan legislation will ensure America leads in the global competition for wireless and 5G technologies, encouraging robust participation by American-led innovators in international standard-setting bodies that will shape the future of wireless communications. America must lead, not follow, in the race to maintain leadership in the global communications front. Make no mistake, our adversaries are aggressively working to exert their own influence. This legislation strengthens U.S. leadership in wireless innovation by ensuring that American companies, engineers, and policymakers have a seat at the table in international standard-setting bodies. By increasing U.S. engagement, we can promote fair competition, protect national security, and prevent foreign adversaries from shaping the future of global communications to their advantage. I am pleased to lead this important legislation, and I want to thank my colleagues for their partnership. I urge my colleagues to support this legislation, and I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Gentleman yields back. What purpose does the lady from Michigan seek recognition?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to strike the last
The
word.
lady is recognized for 5 minutes.
I am proud to have reintroduced the bipartisan Promoting United States Wireless Leadership Act with my colleague, Congressman Tom Kean. This legislation will ensure the United States remains at the forefront of innovation by playing a central role in setting international wireless standards in existing and emerging technologies such as 5G, 6G, and what's to come next. The policy choices of today will have lasting effects on the global wireless technology development of tomorrow, especially as we continue to compete against China. We must take concrete, proactive steps to lower barriers to entry for U.S. companies and promote American competitiveness for each subsequent generation of these innovative technologies. Why? Because China is aggressively positioning itself as the global leader in this space. The Chinese government streamlines spectrum management, invests heavily in telecom infrastructure, and launches diplomatic efforts to shape international standards in its favor. So to maintain our technological edge, we must continue to counter China's influence, whether by continuing to invest in domestic manufacturing of telecom infrastructure or working to ensure that we shape the global standards that will define the future of telecommunications and other emerging technologies. This bill will help to do exactly that and will have a real impact on our global competitiveness, the development of 6G, and national security. As co-chair of the 5G and Beyond Caucus, it's good to see that we have bipartisan agreement on this committee that the United States must be a leader in the development and deployment of cutting-edge technologies. I'm hopeful we will get this bill over the finish line this Congress. I want to thank Representatives Kane, Wahlberg, and Clark, who are all also members of the 5G and Beyond Caucus, for their work on this legislation, and I urge all of my colleagues to support this bill. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the question now occurs on adopting H.R. 1765. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bill is agreed to. The chair calls up H.R. 1737 and asks the clerk to report.
H.R. 1737, a bill to direct the Secretary of Commerce.
Without objection, the first reading of the bill is dispensed with, and the bill will be open for amendment at any time so ordered. Does
Chairman.
anyone seek recognition on the bill?
Mr. Chairman,
Oh, Mr. Gentleman from Idaho, what purpose do you seek recognition?
permission to strike the last word and speak on the bill.
Gentleman is recognized.
The Diaspora Link Act, H.R. 1737, would require the NTIA to study the value, cost, and feasibility of running a transatlantic undersea fiber optic cable from the U.S. Virgin Islands to the Caribbean to the continent of Africa. I want to thank my colleague Stacey Plaskett for working with me on this legislation. Undersea cables carry more than 95% of international data for the United States. This is due to the availability, provide high-capacity, cost-effective, and reliable data to the military and civilian connections. Their protection is key to our security. While the bulk of these connect the U.S. and Europe, the military, specifically Africa Command and Special Forces Command, seek these communications between the U.S. and Africa. Counterterrorism is a primary driver, such as the U.S. Marines, but countering China in the region is also important. China has substantial telecommunications, critical minerals, and military investments in Africa. This bill would ensure the private sector has information from the NTIA study to evaluate whether to invest in such a project. Before undertaking projects to this scale, a study should be warranted. Mr. Chairman, I urge passage of this bill, and I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Is there anyone seeking recognition? Seeing none, the question now occurs, on adopting H.R. 1737. All those in favor shall signify by saying aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bill is agreed to. The chair calls up H.R. 1709 and asks the clerk to report.
H.R. 1709, a bill to direct the Assistant Secretary of Commerce.
Without objection, the first reading of the bill is dispensed with, and the bill will be open for amendment at any point so ordered. Does anyone seek to be recognized on the bill? What purpose does the gentlelady from Florida seek recognition?
I move to strike the last word.
The gentlelady is recognized.
Thank you, Chairman Guthrie. I am so proud to support and lead H.R. 1709, the Understanding Cybersecurity Mobile Networks Act. In today's digital age, mobile networks serve as the backbone of our economy, national security, and everyday communications. However, these networks and the devices that rely on them face increasing threats from cyber attacks and surveillance conducted by foreign adversaries. Our ability to secure these networks is not just an IT issue. It is a matter of national security and economic stability. H.R. 1709 takes a proactive, bipartisan approach by directing the National Telecommunications and Information Administration, NTIA, to assess and report on the cybersecurity of our mobile networks. This legislation will provide us with the data necessary to identify these vulnerabilities and develop stronger protections against cyber threats. With adversaries like China, Russia, and other malicious actors actively targeting our networks, we cannot afford to be reactive and sit on the sidelines. Understanding the risks to our mobile infrastructure will allow us to stay ahead of emerging threats, protect American consumers, and safeguard critical national security interests. I strongly urge my colleagues to support this bill to ensure that America's mobile networks remain resilient, secure, and free from foreign interference. Thank you. I yield back.
The gentlelady yields back. Is there further discussion? Gentleman from Ohio, what purpose do you seek recognition?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To speak on the bill.
Gentleman's recognized.
Thank you. Our bill, the Understanding Cybersecurity of Mobile Networks Act, is a simple bill. It's a simple bill that will have a huge impact on how we deal with cybersecurity threats. Foreign adversaries, as my colleague mentioned, including China and Russia, pursue our data from, among other things, our personal devices. One of their goals is to use that data to divide us. Our bill will have an interagency group give us a report and the data that tells us where our vulnerabilities are, how we are dealing with those vulnerabilities, how foreign adversaries are accessing our data, and how to further our abilities to stop our enemies from attacking our devices. This is an important step for us to improve our cybersecurity and protect all Americans. And I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the question now occurs on adopting H.R. 1709. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bill is agreed to. The chair calls up H.R. 1679 and asks the clerk to report.
H.R. 1679, a bill to direct the Secretary of Commerce in
Without
coordination.
objection, the first reading of the bill is dispensed with, and the bill will be open for amendment at any point so ordered. Does anyone seek to be recognized on the bill? Gentleman from Colorado, what purpose do you seek recognition?
Mr. Chairman, move to strike last word.
Gentleman's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My bill, the Global Investment in American Jobs Act of 2025, is a critical piece of legislation that will help bolster American competitiveness in the face of increasing economic aggression from the Chinese Communist Party, all while helping to create jobs and lower the cost of living, not just in my own home state of Colorado, but across the country. First and foremost, I'd like to extend my gratitude to the gentlelady from Illinois, Ms. Kelly, for helping me to introduce this bill with me, and I'm proud to work with her in a bipartisan fashion to advance this legislation. In Colorado alone, there are more than 126,000 workers that are the direct result of foreign investment. Of these workers, 31% work in manufacturing roles. These jobs, like other blue-collar jobs in my district, provide stable and good-paying employment to constituents to help them provide for their families. Oftentimes, these jobs are accessible to folks with a high school degree after a quick and affordable career technical education course. My bill tasks the Secretary of Commerce with conducting an interagency review to help create a more favorable environment for foreign direct investment that boosts our economy, benefits American workers, and helps to improve the cost of living. International companies are beginning to recognize what most of us have known for decades. American workers are among the most talented in the world. And whether it's energy, technology, or chemicals, Americans produce some of the highest quality products in the cleanest, most environmentally responsible way. And with the resurgence of Americans' manufacturing industry, global investors are clamoring over themselves to pump money into emerging industries in the United States. But Congress needs to ensure we as a nation are striking the right approach in courting international companies and facilitating their investments. This legislation doesn't just help with good-paying jobs and affordability. It helps to ensure that America remains competitive with the Chinese Communist Party by retaining its technological advantage in research and development. International employers in the U.S. alone account for more than $80 billion in research and development. With this bill, Congress can take a major step in seeing this number increase exponentially over the coming years. And it's not just possible, it's necessary. In the face of increasingly unscrupulous tactics from the CCP, such as rampant intellectual property theft, corporate espionage, and exploiting slave labor, it is imperative for the United States to leverage every available policy tool to bolster American industry, and this bill is one of those tools. I urge my colleagues to join me in supporting the Global Investment in American Jobs Act to maintain America's competitive edge, drive innovation, lower the cost of living, and usher in the next era of manufacturing dominance in the United States. Thank you, and yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Is there further discussion? Gentlelady from Illinois, what purpose do you seek recognition?
Let's strike the last.
Gentlelady's recognized for 5 minutes.
Since coming to Congress, I have been a longtime supporter of legislation that aims to boost American global competitiveness, stimulate innovation, and accelerate workforce development. To ensure that we achieve global competitiveness, in addition to other things, we must promote policies that maintain and expand resilient supply chain and reduce the dependence of the U.S. on supply chains from China and other foreign adversaries. Our country needs strong domestic policies, promoting policies to ensure that the U.S. remains a premier global destination to invest, hire, innovate, provide services, and manufacture products to maintain our global competitiveness. This is why I'm pleased to co-lead H.R. 1679 with Rep. Evans, the Global Investment in America Jobs Act, which would direct the Secretary of Commerce in coordination with the heads of other relevant federal departments and agencies to conduct an interagency review of and report to Congress on ways to increase the global competitiveness of the United States in attracting foreign direct investment. For these reasons, I urge all of my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to support this bill. Thank you, and I yield back.
Thank you. The gentlelady yields back. Further discussion? Seeing none, the question now occurs on adopting H.R. 1679. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bill is agreed to. The chair calls up H.R. 1770 and asks the clerk to report.
H.R. 1770, a bill to direct the Consumer Product Safety Commission to establish a pilot program to explore the use
Without
of...
objection, the first reading of the bill is dispensed with, and the bill will be open for amendment at any point. So ordered. Does anyone seek to be recognized on the bill? What purpose does the gentleman from Florida seek recognition?
Mr. Chairman, I move to strike the last word.
Gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes.
This bill is all about the future of consumer safety technology. The bill already passed last term in a bipartisan fashion unanimously. And the whole point is, look, the crooks already have artificial intelligence, so the cops on the beat need to have AI too. It establishes the AI pilot program for the Consumer Product Safety Commission. Think about how many vendors there are on the internet, how many folks are online, how many products are being sold there. To help sort through it all, it helps to have artificial intelligence to help guide our regulators as we're looking to prevent dangerous products from getting on the market or staying on the market. It also advances blockchain technology by allowing the Federal Trade Commission to advance innovation and protect consumers, not only for tokens, but also a fixed ledger. A lot of data is stored on blockchain, and it's a great way to make sure to have integrity of information going forward. For that and more, I urge my colleagues to support this bill.
Gentleman yields back. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the question now occurs on adopting H.R. 1770. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bill is agreed to. The chair calls up H.R. 1721 and asks the clerk to report.
H.R. 1721, a bill to direct the Secretary of Commerce to conduct a study...
Without objection, the first reading of the bill is dispensed with, and the bill will be open for amendment at any point. So ordered. Does anyone seek recognition on the bill? What purpose does the gentlelady from Iowa seek recognition?
I move to strike the last word.
Gentlelady is recognized for 5 minutes.
I urge my colleagues to support H.R. 1721, the Critical Infrastructure Manufacturing Feasibility Act. This bipartisan legislation, I co-led with Representative Schreier, directs the Secretary of Commerce to conduct a comprehensive study examining the feasibility of manufacturing critical infrastructure products here in the United States. The challenges we face regarding our supply chain and manufacturing capabilities have been brought into sharp focus in recent years. We cannot allow foreign competitors, particularly China and the CCP, to control our supply chains and create economic vulnerabilities, especially in our energy infrastructure and emerging technologies. I urge my colleagues to support this bipartisan piece of legislation. I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. Is anyone seeking purpose? Was purpose gentlelady from Washington seek recognition?
Mr. Chairman, I move to strike the last word.
You are recognized for 5 minutes.
Well, I would just like to echo my colleague, Representative Miller-Meek's comments, that I'm proud to lead this legislation with her, the Critical Infrastructure Manufacturing Feasibility Act. We've experienced what it's like to depend, for example, on China for masks, on other countries for transformers, for really critical infrastructure in this country. And it's really important to think about where the things that we purchase come from and how that might make us vulnerable. And so this is simply a bill to study what should be manufactured here, what should be nearshored, what should be onshored, and what we simply cannot depend on other countries for. And so I'm really proud to introduce this bill together, common sense bipartisan bill that will allow us to make evidence-based and thoughtful decisions about the role that domestic manufacturing will play in the years ahead. So I thank you. I encourage my colleagues to vote for this and yield back.
Thank you. The gentlelady yields back. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question now occurs on adopting H.R. 1721. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bill is agreed to. The final bill for the hearing, the markup, the chair calls up H.R. 1767 and asks the clerk to report.
H.R. 1767, a bill to require the Consumer Product Safety Commission.
Without objection, the first reading of the bill is dispensed with, and the bill will be open for amendment at any point so ordered. Does anyone seek recognition on the bill? What purpose, the gentleman from Ohio, seek recognition?
Mr. Chairman, I move to strike the last word.
Gentleman's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Awning Safety Act will add critical protections to these potential hazardous products. I would like to thank my co-sponsor, Ms. Castor, and also Ranking Member Pallone for speaking out at the very beginning of this hearing on the bill. The bill requires the Consumer Product Safety Commission, or the CPSC, to develop a safety standard related to fixed or freestanding awnings commonly seen in homes. The safety standard will prevent unexpected injuries and deaths. In August of 2023, tragically, the state of Ohio and this committee, when Michael Nat, father of then E&C staffer Olivia Shields, lost his life while taking down the retractable awning at his home. He was on a ladder when the spring-loaded arm of the awning unexpectedly shot out, forcing his ladder to tip and for him to fall. By passing this important legislation, we can help the Nat family honor Michael's memory by making these seemingly harmless household products safer for all, hopefully preventing future tragedy. I yield back.
Thank you. The gentleman yields back. What purpose, the gentlelady from Florida, seek recognition?
To strike the last word.
Gentlelady is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, before we close out the markup today, I see in the audience former Congressman Dennis Ross, and he is here with students from Southeastern University. Former Representative Ross leads the American Center for Political Leadership. So all of the students wave for us. Welcome to the Energy and Commerce Committee. I'm glad you're here. And I want to thank Representative Balderson. Since the last Congress, he and I have led the Awning Safety Act. It's an important consumer safety bill that would direct the Consumer Product Safety Commission to promulgate a safety standard for fixed and freestanding motorized retractable awnings. And no matter where you're from, but especially in Florida, finding shade and cover on a sunny day or on a rainy day is very important. And the last thing anyone needs is to be worried that you're going to suffer an injury from a faulty or dangerous awning. In 2019, a motorized awning was recalled after 14 accidents, including 1 fatal injury. At that time, the Consumer Product Safety Commission worked quickly with the manufacturer to recall the product and provide a remedy for consumers. But then it hit much closer to home, too, because in 2023, our former committee staffer, Olivia Shields, her father was killed in a tragic accident. Michael Nat is remembered by his friends and family for his enduring faith in the Lord, a remarkably generous heart, and his humble service to others. So it's vital that we direct the CPSC to address this issue to save lives and limbs. That's why Rep. Balderson and I are working to improve product safety and increase oversight here. With that, I encourage everyone to vote in favor of the bill, move it forward. It passed the Congress and this committee unanimously last year, and I yield back.
Would the gentlelady yield just for just 1 minute? I just want to say this is Olivia Shields, who was our previous chairman's communications director. Her father was Dr. Nat, and so we're doing this in honor of her and her family. And you can tragedies happen, and so many times we see opportunities to fix things for people in the future, and a lot of families come in and say, I know this is not going to save my loved one, but I don't want anybody else to go through what I've gone through. So in honor of that family today, it's good to thank you for your comments. Thank you, and I'll yield back to you. And
I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. The question now occurs on adopting H.R. 1767. All those in favor say aye. 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 Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bill has been agreed to. And I just want to say that we wouldn't have a markup that went this smoothly without the hard work of our staffs who've made sure that we got everything that, working on both sides of the aisle to make sure that we can accommodate as many bills in this markup that are ready to go to the floor. As I said, I know we've a little out of what we call regular order business, because these are bills that everybody other than people who were sworn in for the first time in this Congress have voted for in the past. So thank you for that work, and thank you for willingness to work together, and we really appreciate it. Without objection, staff is authorized to make technical and conforming changes to the legislation approved by the committee today, so ordered. And without objection, the committee stands adjourned.